This next close contender seems to be pulling a prank with a fuel-depleted chainsaw held alarmingly close to his nether region. But the risk-to-reward ratio of this particular prank earns this guy a firm position in the At-Risk Darwin Award Survivors Club. That's just no place for a chainsaw, joke or not.
Hey y'all, what is up, what is good, how's everybody doing today? Legions, BlackGhostFace is here to do another part of the embarrassingly dumb ways people die. If you want to check out the original video, the link will be in the description down below. But anywho, I'm curious to see how this is going to play out. Enjoy.
Sometimes it really does seem like the world is getting dumber. That may be partly due to the fact that our incredible social systems of medicine, community, and welfare have effectively wiped out natural selection for us humans. But every once in a while, someone worthy of a Darwin Award removes themselves from the gene pool like a deer with a penchant for highway jogging. Join me now as I take a look at some of the most mind-bogglingly dumb ways people have died. Leap of faith. In May of 2019, a car chase left a criminal in a tough spot. The Brooklyn man was wanted for a carjacking when he made his first dumb move, crashing into a police car, triggering a high-speed chase. His second, and most lasting mistake, came later, after the pursuit left him trapped between multiple pursuing police cars on the Brooklyn Bridge. Rather than hand himself over, he went with the Grand Theft Auto method. He assumed that jumping over the railing down to the ground below would allow him to escape with little more than a scratch or two. So over he went, and while he did indeed get away, he did so in a body bag. Remember your roots. There are many embarrassing ways to die, but falling victim to the wrath of a root vegetable has to be near the top. When out on a hunting trip in 1881, British politician Sir William Penn Galloway entered the annals of ridiculous history when he slipped and fell onto a turnip. The turnip, renowned by his fellow turnips as a violent brute, caused severe internal injuries to the politician, and he died that day, age 74. Turns out vegetables aren't so good for you after all. World's longest breath holder.
Really?
I could think of better ways to spend a Saturday night than a breath holding contest, but apparently boredom was at an all-time high for a New Jersey man in August 2018. Rather than holding the competition between friends on the safety of dry land, the man decided to hold his breath underwater on Lake St. Clair in Georgia. 7 minutes passed before anyone noticed anything was wrong. And this time, the undisputed winner of the contest had fallen unconscious and drowned, proving that real winners never give up. Cigarette burns. Hospitals are usually safe places for treatment and recovery, but a questionable decision made by an elderly lady in Haltern am See, Germany, brought a quick end to her own treatment plan in 2018. The lady, who was wheelchair-bound from sickness, wheeled herself outside for a nice, relaxing smoke. She seemed to forget that she was wearing an oxygen ventilator, which ignited when she lit her cigarette, setting fire to the plastic upholstery of her wheelchair. She was engulfed in deadly flames and scorching plastic and died soon after. Everyone knows smoking's bad for your health, but usually its effects aren't so explosive. Not the bees.
Not the
Picture
bees.
this relaxing scene.
Not the bees.
You're lying down on a comfy massage table, enjoying some nice therapeutic music, when someone forcibly stings you with multiple bees. Surprisingly, this is something people willingly go through on a regular basis, supposedly to relieve stress and muscle tension, and is a form of alternative medicine known as live bee acupuncture. All the bees that are used die in the process, but in 2018, they finally got their own revenge.
Acupuncture. Hit it! Live bees. Acupuncture.
You see, every time a person is stung by a bee, their chances of suffering an allergic reaction increase. But for one woman who was unaware of this fact, her reaction came as a total surprise after having the treatment so many times. The woman immediately lost consciousness following one of the stings, and soon died of a severe allergic reaction. Don't mess with bees. Nick Cage knows this, and so should you.
I'm not going to act like I don't know that's a thing, but if you're ever going to something like that, when do you not let them know that, hey, what kind of acupunctures do y'all do before I just lay on the table completely naked and you just hit me with a bunch of bees? What? I mean, why not go to a place that do a little elbow? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just saying.
You've heard of the Stairway to Heaven, but what about the fast track version? The only catch is, you never actually get to the top. This is the fate that met the guitar player from a heavy metal band whose name is so obscene YouTube would implode if I were to say it. A musical career dedicated to causing as much controversy as possible culminated in a rather unclimactic end, when he attempted to ride his way along the rail of an escalator. He lost his balance, plummeted over the edge, and died on impact. His head struck a food court table, presumably turning some unfortunate kid's Happy Meal into a horror meal.
Aww,
taking selfies to new heights.
Not the Happy Meal.
Some people go to great lengths for that
but
perfect
that.
selfie.
I paid
apparently, these great lengths should
$2.50
never
for
exceed
those.
99 feet. The world learned this fact in 2018 when a British woman and her Australian boyfriend were found dead on a beach in Portugal. Piecing the evidence together, police concluded that the couple had been sat atop a 100-foot wall overlooking the beach when they dropped the phone they'd been snapping vacation pics on. They both reached to grab the phone, which had landed on a ledge just below them. Unfortunately, they both lost their balance and plunged the full distance to the ground below. As if to symbolize technology's inevitable takeover of the human race, the phone the couple gave their lives trying to save remained on the wall, unscathed.
First question. Who was in charge of not letting people climb or get on a wall that's 100 feet in the air? And the fact they took selfies too. Genius, right? That's what we're doing. Let's climb on the highest wall we can find, take some selfies, and oh no, the phone, and we plummet to our death. Yeah, sounds
We're
great.
taught from a young age that water and electricity don't mix, but for some people, this never quite sinks in. For some, the comfort of having an electronic device on hand at all times overrides the need to, remain alive. A Londoner learned the error of this mindset in 2017 when he tried charging his phone while in the bath. As he relaxed in the tub, he balanced an extension cord on his chest, keeping it out of the water. What happened next is unclear, but the situation isn't too hard to fathom. Whether he slipped or whether he absentmindedly dunked his phone in the water, he was killed by the ensuing shock. Fussy eater. Everybody loves the hearty goodness of a home-cooked meal, assuming at least one person in the house can cook. But renowned mathematician Kurt Gödel took his love of his wife's home cooking to ridiculous levels. Despite, or perhaps because of, his brilliance as a mathematician, Gödel was an extremely paranoid man. His paranoia grew to the point where in his later years he refused to eat anything that hadn't first been tasted or prepared by his wife. Believing himself to be at the center of a poisoning plot, when his wife was hospitalized for 6 weeks in 1977 and hence was unable to cook for her husband, Gödel stopped eating. By the end of January 1978, he had died of malnutrition, weighing only 65 pounds when he died. In the end, through his desperation to avoid being murdered, he was the one responsible for his own death. It really goes to show, if you want something done right, do it yourself.
I'm gonna jump. No. All right. There's no way. There's no way. I don't know how this was not top 3. You mean to tell me that you're not eating anything unless your wife tastes it first? And after she passed away, you decide not to eat anything because your wife is not around anymore? I mean, even if this story was fake, not real, still though, it could be true. Someone could actually be doing that. Really?
Hungry for more? While some dumb deaths are caused by no eating at all, occasionally someone will kick the bucket because of the total opposite. In this case, the bucket was filled to the brim with sticky, delicious sweet rolls. Adolf Frederick, King of Sweden from 1751 to 1771, wasn't a particularly good king. He was regarded as lacking the aptitude, fortitude, and integrity necessary for successful kingship. But what he lacked as a king, he made up for with his appetite. He was a lover of food with a sweet tooth, and it could never be said that his eyes were bigger than his belly. But while the amount of food he consumed on his last meal in February 1771 did exceed the limitations of his large belly, he finished it nonetheless. After a heaping feast of seafood, sauerkraut, and champagne, he moved on to dessert. This consisted of no less than 14 Swedish sweet rolls, all dipped in hot milk flavored with cinnamon and raisins.
Bro, that looked
While
good.
he was reportedly stockpiling for the Christian tradition of Lent, he clearly overshot his mark as his digestive system completely shut down and he died. Just goes to show, death by cake isn't as sweet as it sounds.
Don't get me wrong, it's compared to the last guy who doesn't want to eat anything because, oh, well, since my wife's not around, I'm not eating none of this food. This man is the opposite. I'm eating. He ate till he died. But I love how it showed like the what was that movie? There's the Lord of the Rings. Then there was The Hobbit. That's what it was. I love how he was looking at him like, bro, who invited you? Who eats till they die, though? You can't be a gluttony. That's all it is.
A cut above the vest.
A gluttony.
Nobody wants to be conned when making a purchase. Indeed, being sold a stab-proof vest that offers the protection of a wet noodle is hardly an ideal scenario. But it should go without saying that testing the stabability of such vests should be done with at least one qualifying factor.
I love how he
Taking the
did
vest
though.
off first. Unfortunately, that first rule of Stab Club whistled in one ear, through the empty skull cavity, and out the other ear of one Englishman in 2018. Mistakenly believing his jacket was stab-proof, the man took a knife and plunged it into his jacket while at the kitchen table. It turned out the jacket wasn't stab-proof, and funnily enough, neither was he. Before I get to the dumbest death magnets of the bunch, let's take a look at some contenders who somehow managed to avoid qualifying for a Darwin Award by surviving their stupidity. This electrician clearly trained with the best, because after all, there's no better insulator than a nice cool puddle of muddy water. Another top-of-the-class graduate of the Elite Electricians Academy is this fellow, who's also in on the secret that water and electricity are actually a great mix. But the rubber industry doesn't want you to know that. For any Darwin Award nominees watching, that was a joke. Anyway, this next close contender seems to be pulling a prank with a fuel-depleted chainsaw held alarmingly close to his nether region. But the risk-to-reward ratio of this particular prank earns this guy a firm position in the At-Risk Darwin Award Survivors Club. That's just no place for a chainsaw, joke or not. The final at-risk survivor is this fellow who let rage overcome any shred of rational thought. While his friend drives, he takes the noble position of car puncher, hanging out of the car window and attacking the hard walls of another vehicle with his bare hands. Like the genius he so clearly is. As his car swerves, he accidentally opens his door and tumbles gracefully onto the highway. Hey, at least he stuck the landing. Though if this is his reaction to a bit of road rage, I feel like his Darwin Award isn't too far away over the horizon. A bridge too far. Video games, movies, and TV shows have let us all believe that clearing a rising drawbridge in a car is a viable feat.
Road rage.
But that realization never occurred to a couple of wannabe Texan stuntmen who put their inflated senses of their own abilities to the test in May 2019. Witnesses reported seeing a car's passenger lift the barrier of the Black Bayou drawbridge in Louisiana before the car sped off up the rising ramp. Now admittedly, some people do occasionally survive these jumps, like this distracted driver who didn't even realize the bridge had begun to rise before cruising over the top to the other side. But these people are the minority and should be taken as representative of the majority. Because the majority, like our Texan friends, follow a learning curve that's steeper than the downward path of their car. However, any learning was short-lived in this case, as the Texan pair were trapped in their car after it failed to make the jump to the other side. They sank and soon drowned. Put simply, they were neither fast nor furious enough. Which Darwin Award winner do you think was the stupidest? Do you know of any more ridiculously dumb ways people died?
If I had to say probably the dumbest one though, if I had to say, it would have to be the fact that the husband did not want to eat any food unless his wife tasted it. And the thing about it is, died, and after she died, he didn't want to eat any more food because, well, since my wife's not around, I'm not eating that. Okay. Alright. Yeah. That was great. That was genius. Really was. But hope y'all enjoyed the video. If you want to stay tuned to future content, step the buttons down below. You will continue to see another video. Hope you have a good day. Hope y'all stay safe. And of course, y'all already know. Peace out.